It's rookie draft season. Let's do a little bit of a blind test here.
Yeah, so player A, which is both of these, by the way, are quarterbacks, and they are rookie prospects at a certain point in time. We're not going to tell you when, but they were going into the NFL at some point. So player A had a 66% completion percentage, while player B had a 66 about completion percentage. We've got an adjusted completion percentage of 72.8 for player A and 74% for player B. We got 3,600 yards versus 4,900 yards, and 41 touchdowns to 36 for A and B respectively. A touchdown rate of 10% for the first player, 6% for the second player, an interception rate of, I mean, really impressive, less than 2% for both, and an S2 score.
You just gave one of them away.
I gave it away. Of 14% for player A and 7% for player B. So if you could take a guess on who these quarterbacks are, go right ahead. We'll give you 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, so you can comment below, and if you really, we'll take your word for it that you didn't. But one of them is C.J. Stroud. But who's the other one, Nathan?
The other one, which is player B, the one on the far right of this stat line, is Michael Penix Jr.
Pause. I know what you're going to say. No, we are not comparing these two players as prospects, as players, as NFL talent, situation, not comparing them. It was a blind resume test. Did you get it right? Are you surprised? What does this mean, Nathan? Because again, we are not comparing these two players. Stroud is not Penix and vice versa. We need to clarify that.
The idea of this blind test is to really get across to you this overall strategy point that we should be applying in Superflex leagues to every single rookie class with quarterbacks that get respectable draft capital. And that is that you respect the draft capital of what are likely to be first-round quarterbacks, regardless of their landing spot, regardless of your opinion of them. Mm-hmm. You have to take the value in a Superflex league. Why do we dedicate a video to this core idea? The reason we're dedicating a video to this is because we are in January. The day we're recording this, January 26th, 2024. We are in January. We have not reached the combine. We have not reached the NFL draft. And we are already hearing word from many, many, many people in the Dynasty community via comments, via a lot of things, that they're avoiding Caleb Williams at all costs, and they're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 101. Why? Please, seriously, answer me why.
Don't be mad, Nathan.
When have we ever benefited from this idea of avoiding a player, avoiding a rookie at all costs because of our personal opinion of what they did their last year in college, when we know what their tools are, we know what their upside is, and we know most likely what their draft capital is going to be?
Hi, this is Avery. This is your happy version of that message.
Hi, Avery.
We shouldn't be doing that because really there is no basis to evaluate an NFL prospect based on, them having a rough season in their last season of college. Has it correlated before? Yes. Can it correlate? Of course it can correlate. But should we look at Michael Penix's last game and say, yeah, we can't be drafting Michael Penix because of this? No. But it's bigger than Michael Penix. Let's talk about Drake May. Drake May, a guy that's been getting a little bit of negative vibes from the Dynasty community. And with Dynasty community, it's not usually about concrete evidence and facts. It's usually about vibes. He's not a dog. I'm like, yeah, but what does that mean? Right? We take these vibes and these reasons and we say, yeah, this is going to be why I don't draft this player. I'm telling you right now, right at this moment, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jaden Daniels all seem like sexier picks than Drake May in the rookie draft. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of times we gravitate towards as Dynasty players is the sexiness of a pick. The sexificity, so to say, it's a term I made up. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it gets us into a lot of trouble. And what ends up happening with this strategy, what ends up happening with this phenomenon is you end up getting C.J. Stroud at the 106 in your rookie drafts. This is
Couldn't
what
stop
happened.
taking him.
This is what happened last year. And yes, CJ Stroud, did he have questions as a prospect? Every prospect does. But for the most part, CJ Stroud was actually a fairly safe prospect if you weren't helmet scouting. If you were looking at the actual body of work and the actual skill set of CJ Stroud from a prospect standpoint last year, you knew that he was more than capable as a quarterback and was going to probably translate to the next level. And after he got the draft capital, there should have been no question. But we got the vibes, and the vibes were off, and the S2 score was bad. And we're like, oh no. And did it matter? Because of that, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, who else was going over him?
JSN. Here and there, JSN.
Yeah, you're right. And Kincaid at times.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson,
which was valid. But even now, we see that Stroud would have been a better pick than Richardson in hindsight, at least after the first year, from a value perspective.
From a value perspective, yes.
Yes, from a value perspective. And so because of the vibes and the sexiflicity of the pick that we were making last year, we didn't have CJ Stroud anywhere close to where he should have been drafted, and we were getting crazy values. And now he's flipped these middle-of-the-road dynasty teams that held their 106, flipped them upside down. So you might be a middle-of-the-road dynasty team. You might be somebody who has a late first, and you might be thinking, how does this benefit me?
It benefits you by being able to capitalize on people's inability in the early rounds of the rookie draft to take advantage of first-round quarterbacks in Superflex leagues. You get the value that falls to you. You get the opportunity to capitalize on a quarterback that could potentially be successful in the NFL. He might bust, yeah, sure, just like any other prospect in the rookie draft. Now, I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here because there is, you don't want to take this too far, right? Because you look at blind stat lines all the time. I mean, you could look at a blind stat line of Andy Dalton and compare it to someone in 2022 and say that Andy Dalton was an amazing quarterback. PFF did that, and it made him look really bad. So, like, we're talking about Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence. When you look at the production in years 1 and 2 for Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence, that was a big thing that came out. I remember going into their third years, and it was like, actually, they're really not that different statistically. And that was true. But all you have to do is watch football and watch them both on the field, and you knew that there was a little bit of a difference between, their play styles and what they were probably going to do successfully in the NFL. So when you look at this blind stat line between, for example, Stroud and Penix, what do you say about Stroud and Penix? You don't say they're the same player.
They're not.
We are not saying that they're the same player.
What jumps out to me is that Stroud was far more efficient with less opportunity than Penix was.
Yeah.
What jumps out to me, though, also is that Penix had a lot of volume, was trusted with a lot of volume, and therefore a lot of production to go with it.
Yeah.
And fairly good efficiency numbers to go along with that as well.
Very.
Was he as efficient as Stroud? No, because he's not the level of prospect to CJ Stroud. But you're not getting Penix anywhere from the 101 to 106. You're getting him at the 112 maybe this year. You're getting Bo Nix maybe at the 112 this year. And in a Superflex league where quarterback has been dire in the last 2 years, really last year specifically, when you've got dynasty teams Superflexing Tommy DeVito, Superflexing Jaron Hall, that puts you at a really big disadvantage when you're playing a league mate that has Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray on their team. A really big disadvantage. So with that, there is potential this year to get some crazy team-altering values late in this rookie draft. And are all of these guys going to hit? No. We need to acknowledge right now that first-round drafted quarterbacks in the NFL, their hit rate is a lot lower than you think. It's about 50%, maybe less. Maybe, honestly, probably less than that.
But actually, the ones that end up going to better situations in the mid-rounds tend to have a little more success.
Which, in this particular case, there are lots of good situations for quarterback prospects this year.
Yeah.
Not to mention, a 50% chance at hitting on a quarterback is significantly higher than the cornerstone hit rates you get on a lot of other positions in dynasty rookie drafts. Right now, we don't know because, honestly, it could turn out to where a lot of these guys don't get the draft capital we expect. We've seen that happen so many times.
Yeah, we have.
But this is also a fairly deep and talented quarterback class. What strategy should we be taking into this rookie draft to make sure that we're taking advantage of every single opportunity to make our dynasty team better?
So if you're looking at picks specifically, we get this question all the time in our videos, in our YouTube comments, and in our Discord chat over at flockfantasy.com where we do blueprints for people, which, by the way, if you have not signed up over there, use the link in the description, flockfantasy.com/domain. It's also on the screen.
Wow.
We do a blueprint for you if you sign up for the Mother Flocker tier.
Blueprint.
You can hit us up in our DMs. We'll answer any questions that you have. Super happy to do it. We do a ton of them. It's been going really well over there. Ask anyone who's a part of that community. It's
get all of our exclusives
worth your
too,
time. Yeah,
so.
get all of our exclusive. Link is in the
Dynasty
description.
diehards only.
Yeah. But when you're looking at the 101 specifically, you draft Caleb Williams.
You do.
You do.
If he gets 101 draft capital, you do
Caleb
draft
Williams.
Caleb Williams.
I'm sorry. I know everyone's
not.
bullish on Marvin Harrison Jr. I know.
I love Marvin Harrison Jr.
We love him. We think he's awesome. Think he's super duper great.
And I love Malik Neighbors.
I'm taking
If Drake
Caleb Williams.
if Drake May goes at the 102 in the NFL draft,
there's an argument to take Drake May.
There is an argument to put
102.
because again, yes, a good wide receiver in Dynasty can change your team. But you cannot have an alpha, like top 5 wide receiver on your Dynasty team and still have an elite group of wide receivers. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to have an elite group of quarterbacks without one of those top 12 quarterbacks. And Drake May could step in and be a top 12 quarterback. And Caleb Williams could do that as well. And honestly, so could Jaden Daniels. Yeah. And where are you getting Jaden Daniels at?
105, 106 right now is probably where you're thinking that he's going to go.
I
rookie
think
draft.
he could go higher.
I think he could go higher than that for sure.
So it's a win-win because what does it mean if you trade up and you want to get a QB at the 105, 106 and they all go? Guess who's sitting there for you at the 105?
Yeah, a quarterback.
Or
actually, I would anticipate that Jaden Daniels probably jumps Drake May just popularity-wise, and that Drake May is probably the guy that falls to you at the 105, 106. Drake May, there's a good chance that Drake May this year is actually like 2024 CJ Stroud from a value perspective, where he gets really good draft capital. The Dynasty community just isn't sold on him, and you essentially get him for what feels like free at the 106, 107.
I don't really think it matters, but if you have a reason you're not sold on Drake May, let me know in the comments. He's just a really good example of this particular scenario. And honestly, he seems to grade out well as an NFL prospect. And if he gets the draft capital, there's no reason he should slide in our drafts.
Yeah, and we'll reevaluate this again as we get closer to the combine, as we get closer to the NFL draft, and we start hearing things about these players. But one thing that, regardless of what happens with these prospects, will stand true in Dynasty Fantasy Football and Superflex leagues for the rest of time. You have to take the quarterback at value. You have to. You cannot pass up on them.
And I think the reason that this video is important is because we have gravitated so much towards young wide receivers in Dynasty.
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. We love young wide receivers.
And who doesn't? They're like new Ferraris. I got a new Ferrari.
But they're starting to become a dime a dozen. And that's not necessarily good when you're talking about
Not
upside.
only that, but good quarterbacks and good quarterback prospects are becoming more rare. And they have a way bigger impact on your Dynasty team when they hit. Quarterback is more important than wide receiver in Superflex leagues. Yeah. It is the most important position. Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams should all be in a tier with Marvin Harrison Jr., if I'm being quite honest with you, in terms of their value to your Dynasty team. We need to get back to valuing quarterbacks appropriately. We need to get back to understanding the value of quarterbacks on our chances of winning Dynasty championships in Superflex leagues. Because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to win championships. We're trying to win money. That's our goal. And I'm telling you right now, having 2 elite quarterbacks, probably 3 elite quarterbacks, because what are the odds one of your starting quarterbacks is going to get hurt? This year, it was probably 70%. Think about it. We need good quarterbacks and good quarterback depth on our Dynasty teams, on our Superflex Dynasty rosters, in order to have a legitimate chance at winning the championship. Yeah, you can get in the comments and say, I won the championship, and I had Tommy DeVito, and I had nobody else. And I was flexing. I don't even know.
You're one of very few.
Yes. Does it happen? Absolutely it happens. Because you had a wide receiver that you put in your Superflex spot over a quarterback, and he popped off in week 16 or 17, whatever it was. Yeah. Of course it happens. Of course you can win. It's like what, 75 at least % luck when you get to the playoffs. Of course it can happen. Yeah. But let's talk about building Dynasty teams, getting to the playoffs, and still giving yourself a good shot. Quarterback.
Yeah, and a little future spoiler for an eventual video that we'll probably do too. Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, if you look at the rankings over at flockfantasy.com, when you look at the value of those early picks on Keep Trade Cut, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. right off the bat is going to be ranked around wide receiver 4. Wide receiver 4 in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And if Marvin Harrison Jr. does not produce over the next 2 to 3 years, if he does not reach a top 3 producing wide receiver, he's not going to be worth what you paid for him if he's valued that already.
It's not a reason not to draft him. You should still draft him.
No, just saying. I was just saying, when you're weighing the value of the quarterback versus what you need Marvin Harrison Jr. to do really to pay off for you.
Let us know what you think of this video. Let us know what you think of what we said and the points we brought up. It's really interesting, and I do think there needs to be a little bit of a shift back towards quarterback-friendly markets and quarterback-friendly dynasty views on quarterbacks. So let us know what you think of the video. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe as well if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. Appreciate you guys doing those 2 things for us. And like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain and use code domain, choose Motherflocker tier if you want a team blueprint, and also if you want all of our exclusive, including our rankings, exclusive videos, etc. All right, appreciate you guys. See you later.